Hello, so today I'm going to go over cutting my own hair. I wouldn't usually recommend people to cut their own hair at home, but with the circumstances that are going on at the moment, I'd rather you all have the knowledge on how to do it correctly. I wouldn't recommend taking off loads. Today I'm just going to take a little bit off my ends, touch up my layers and do a bit of a feather around the face. So what you want to be doing is taking a section. So you want to keep your sections quite small. And then I'm just going to halve it down the middle and bring these pieces forward. So, like I say, I only really want to be taking the minimum off the ends, just to keep me going. And I just want to be cutting straight across. Then before you take another section, you just want to bring both pieces down and make sure that they're sitting level. So you take your next section just above the ears. Try and keep your sectioning as neat as you possibly can. I know that's easier said than done, but the neater your sections, the neater your haircut. So section that off. And we're bringing this hair down now. And you want to bring it all forward again and comb it down, and you'll be able to see where you created that line beforehand. So comb it down, only cut to where that line is that you cut previously. Again, make sure that there's no kinks in the hair, make sure it's all nice and smooth. Bring it forward and just trim off those ends, again, only to where you cut previously. So now you want to go back and check again that you're even on both sides. If you are slightly out on the one side, just go back and just double check it. There we go. Now I'm cutting to a middle parting. This helps if you do move your parting around. Cutting it to a middle parting means that it'll still be the same length. So it's always good to cut to a middle parting. Feeling a little bit out of my comfort zone doing this video. I've never done one before, so please bear with me. Again, on your last section there won't be as much to take off because this is where your layers are falling into it. So just make sure all the hair's combed nice and flat. So what you basically don't want is it to be like ruffled here and then you cut in the ends. You want to make sure that you've got the tension there so that it creates a straight line. So again, bring it down and you'll see where all the rest of the hair's cut. Like I say, on the last layer, you won't need to take as much off because your layers fall into that piece. So that's your basic one length. Again, you want to go through, check that the ends are feeling level. What else you can do as well to make sure that it's looking level is get another mirror. So you want to turn around for this and just check in a mirror which it's looking good. Right, so now that you've done your one length, if you've got layers and you just want to take a tiny bit off those layers, I would recommend just taking a section. Imagine it as a Terry's chocolate orange. So taking a section, but then we're bringing it up. Now you want to follow the shape of the head. So you're bringing it out slightly, as if you're bringing it straight out, but from the head. So here, I would recommend just chopping into them slightly. So again, you take your Terry's chocolate orange slice. Now you want to take some of the hair that you've just previously cut up into this section. I'm trying not to be too technical with the terms, just so that you understand a little bit more. Obviously there's certain angles that you need to take, but I'm just talking about it in basic terms really, so that you have a bit more of an understanding. So you just want to point cut into those layers just to take the very ends off. And again, you want to repeat this all the way around the hair, taking a previous section from what you've just cut. Also, when taking the layer up, you want to make sure that all the hair is smooth. Make sure that there's no like ripples here. Once you've taken it up, you can drop it back down as long as your fingers are tight. And just take a tiny bit off the layers. It is easier if you've got somebody else to do this for you. It's also been a very long time since I've cut my own hair. Obviously I'm used to working differently, so it is a little bit awkward working in a mirror. So before you start cutting, just make sure you have a little bit of a practice bringing your hair up, holding it tight and then dropping it down. And then just snipping those ends off. Just get a little bit of a feel for it first before you start chopping away. You don't want to be doing anything drastic, just enough to get rid of any split ends that may be there, as all the hairdressers are shut at the moment, because unfortunately we can't do anybody's hair and stay 2 meters away. So we've got to follow all these guidelines, but make the most of a bad situation. So again, it's always better to do when the hair is wet. If it dries out too much, you can get it a little bit tangled. So make sure the hair's wet. You just want to be bringing it up. My hair's extremely long at the moment. So you'll find one side's harder to do than the other. So this side is a little bit more difficult for me to do. So bring it back down. And as you can see, the layers are just blending in. You can't really tell The thing with layers, people seem to think that they come in sets, that you can have 3 layers full. That's not how layers work. Layers are basically an angle, so as the hair's cut at an angle, once it falls down, it creates a natural blend. So layers don't actually fall separately, just so you know. I always get people asking me for 3 or 4 layers and I'm like, okay. So you want to be taking your last section up, bring it right up to the top, and then as you can see, I just want to take the tiniest amount, just where it goes thin really, because not having haircuts regular, your ends can get a bit bitty, either damage from sun or heat or from having colours. So yeah, now that's all my layers trimmed. Now I want to put a bit of shape in the front, so I'm only going to take a section just before my ear, and I want to keep all the rest of the hair back and match it on the other side, just a section in front of my ear, using Terry's chocolate orange slice again. So you want to be clipping this bit back. So right, now you've got your 2 sections, make sure they're wet. Right, so this, you just want to be bringing this is the most simplest way of teaching how to cut. It's very basic techniques. I'm not going into anything too technical with you. Obviously, all I'm trying to do is help you trim your ends just so that it's not split anymore. And so this is very, very, very basic. So we're bringing it straight out, and what we want to do is cut a straight line, and then as that falls, it'll fall gradually. So you also want to point cut into this. You don't want to just chop it off. So just point cut and cut a straight line, so that when you bring it back down, it falls at an angle. So I haven't quite taken enough off. So you bring it forward, make sure that all the hair is sitting flat so that you cut it all the same length. So bring it straight forward, and then you can cut and bring this bit back. Then as long as you've combed it forward and you've got the tension there, you can always then drop it and bring it back. So point cut into it. There we go. And then bringing this back down, and just have a look how it's falling in the mirror. So you can just go in and just chop a little bit just to soften it. And there we are. You've got your layers falling down. Now this is the more difficult part, because you want to match yourself on each side. So a good trick to do is actually steal a bit from the piece you've just cut, and then you can use that as a bit of a guideline. So again, you'll find one side's easier to do than the other, and this is my more difficult side. So I'm going to do it in 2 parts. So cut straight. So again, not really taking too much off, but we're only basically maintaining our cuts. We're not doing a restyle. So I'll put a middle parting back in. And make sure that there's no little stray hairs. So I haven't quite taken enough off this side. I'm just going to follow that down at an angle. There we go. Now, to check that your sides are the same, just bring them forward and double check. Just need to get a little bit more off this side. Just remember, it's not a race. Take as long as you want. Obviously, I've been in the industry for 16 years now. And it is difficult. It's difficult doing it in front of a mirror. So just take your time. Don't rush it. Don't think, oh, I'll just take that bit off. Double check in the mirror. Everything needs to line up in the mirror. So just have a look first before you start chopping away, because you can't put it back on. So just double check. There we go. That's falling nicely. So now you want to take your clips out. I'm just going to put it back into the middle parting. So I'm just going to use a little bit of After Party in my hair. This is a serum that you can work in on wet hair and dry hair. So that'll just smooth any of the ends over. And I like to use a bit of Extreme Volume. Products are always good for your hair. I get a lot of people saying, oh, it never looks the same when I do it. And the key is using the products. You need to be able to smooth over the hair. Even at home. Yeah, right. And there we have our standard one length with some basic layers. You can do the first part of this and just chop your ends if you don't feel comfortable doing your layers. Also, I just wanted to quickly go over people with fringes, because I'm sure there's a lot of you out there at the moment that may be struggling. So I just wanted to give you a quick, easy tip. So basically, if you've got a sweeping fringe, what you want to be doing is taking, actually, I'll just put it in the side parting, because most people that have a sweeping fringe have a side parting. So what you want to be doing is from your parting, draw a line down, and it kind of creates a triangle. So not too thick a section. Make sure that it's the same sort of section that your fringe is already there. So the easiest way to create that swoop is combing it in the opposite direction and literally cutting a straight line. So do your triangle. I don't know if you can see. So there's your triangle. Getting it all in your hands. Obviously I'm not going to put a fringe in, so I won't be cutting it, but make sure you comb it in the opposite direction. Make sure you're looking forward, opposite direction, and literally cut it straight. And then when you bring it back over, it'll have a really nice swoop. But I'm not going to put a fringe in, so just so you know. Also, if you were doing a full fringe, which is a little bit harder, you take a piece from each side and just section out the other bits of hair, and then again creating a triangle, taking each section away. So as you can see there, I've got my triangle. So try and keep your sections as neat as possible, and then you want to be bringing it forward. Now don't forget, with fringes they shrink up, so always cut it a little bit longer than what you want, because you can always take more off. So bring it down, and you can always tap it a little bit and then cut straight across. If you want to bring the sides round a little bit, you can bring it over this way and just take the corner off, and again this way and just do it at an angle. But yeah, really you want your fingers resting on your nose. I see so many people pull the hair down really tight, cut it straight across there, and then the hair springs up and they've got a fringe that's extremely short and looks ridiculous. Nobody wants a fringe like that. So there we have it. So I'm going to be doing another video and I'm going to show you how to do a basic blow dry with a bit of movement, a bit of texture. So watch the next video. Thanks guys.